Hello, everybody. How are we all doing? This is Red Pill Phil. I hope you're all enjoying your Sunday evening. Sorry to bore you, but we thought we'd do a live chat. Yeah, being as the protest, the march, the rightful way that we can express ourselves that we went to last week that went so positively well. I'm talking about Newcastle, Veterans Against Terrorism, which was on the 17th of February. I and myself and, oh, geez, Toni Bugle, the veterans. It was a massive attendance. The FLA was there. And with that, I thought we'd have a nice live chat. And what better person to have it with than would be Toni Bugle, the founder of M.A.R.I.A.S, Mothers Against Radical Islam and Sharia, and a main consultant behind the Veterans Against Terrorism. So with that, Toni, with that stumbled introduction, I'm going to bring you into the frame here. How are you doing?
Well, apart from I'm recovering from a lung infection and a chest infection, so I'll apologise for sounding even more masculine than I do normally. Other than that, I'm doing all right, Phil. What about you? How are you after our event?
I'm still buzzing, still getting tons of comments coming through. The momentum, that march gave me everything I wanted and more, being the first march coming out the blocks, as it were, for me attending. I just hope with all the next marches proceeding that momentum is gained with the positivity and just the breaking down of the narrative that march presented. As long as it's done in a clean and honourable way, for me, the way that march went is how it should all proceed from there.
Wouldn't it be nice if every march as well was as positive, not just positive in the message? We know we weren't there with any racist bullshit agenda, even though we're told we are. But what was really nice was there was a really positive vibe from the people who attended as well.
Yeah.
The singing, and I think you noted at one point as well, wasn't it good to hear the women singing?
I loved it. I was filming. I was at the front of the march as the march was making its way towards me. There was about 50 yards gap or so. And in the background, all I could hear, because the women was at the front, but the Gurkhas were on the front line as well. I could just hear when the Saints go marching in, and it was just women, women, women. There was no men. It was just women joyfully singing, happily being a part of that event. And it was beautiful. It was beautiful scenes. Really was.
Yeah, voices were a bit naff, but we really enjoyed it. And I actually thought when the Saints come marching in was such a perfect song as well. Absolutely perfect song, because I think it is, not that I'm a saint, because let's face it, I am, after all, an atheist. But I do think that the people who stand up against terrorism, the people who stand up against grooming gangs, the people who stand up for Muslim women, they are saints. So I actually thought it was a perfect song as well. And we did have a little moment which you missed, and I'm really gutted. I've decided from now on, for all of you listening, from now on, when we go on a march and me and Pill are together, me and the Pill are going to be inseparable, because you missed the lefty, didn't you? You missed that.
You told me all about it. I know. I can't believe it. It was such a... It would have been visually very interesting, and to get the interaction with what she said to the vets and the way you interacted, from the way you describe it, I am so gutted I didn't get that on film. Yeah, definitely.
Well, for those who don't know, and I know Phil missed the opportunity, which was such a shame, because it was the perfect opportunity as well. And you can always tell them, Phil, there must be a job lot sale on purple rinses and pink rinses, because you can just tell if they've got pink and purple hair, they're femi-fascists.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know what it is. Is it a certain shop, a certain high street you go to in order to be a lefty? Because you can. I only had one interaction with lefties myself. I mean, before you, because I do want you to explain that story, because it's a brilliant story. But my one interaction on that day was with lefties that as soon as the camera went on them, I knew straight away. And it's not stereotyping, it is a raw assumption, which you could be wrong, but the stereotype does fit, doesn't it? And you can't get away from that. But sorry, anyway, going back to your story, Tom.
There was an article written, actually, and I couldn't help it. I found it funny. You know, when you read an article, you think, I shouldn't really laugh, but it's quite funny. There was an article written where it said that the left are more physically unattractive than those on the right. And I was like, yes. Yeah. I mean, with the beautiful people.
Yeah. And there is studies. And there are studies to suggest that they're more likely to steal. You know, so it's considering that they're professing to be the do-gooders, that the stats don't really show that. They've probably got more evil in their heart, if I'm going to be honest, because they've got that more control capability within them, where the people I've encountered on my merry marches, let's say, have been nothing but honourable people who take a hell of a lot of crap and they do the honourable thing. Of course, we've all seen negative images of certain marches by certain organisations that show nasty connotations to what we're trying to talk about. But the march in question that we attended and what we're trying to build on is so much more positive than that. But these people, just like anyone else, are all being vilified for possibly the colour of their skin, first of all. But secondly, just because they've got concerns which are genuine, legitimate concerns.
I'm vilified. I'm vilified purely on the basis of my skin colour. Not for any other reason that I happen to have blonde hair, blue eyes and white skin, and therefore, as I'm told regularly, I must be an Aryan bitch. That's what I'm told. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, yeah, Hitler might like me, but I wouldn't have been no fan of Hitler. So, you know, it's irrelevant. But I do find, what I found fascinating was that particular day, I'd noticed one of the old boys, he's standing there, he's got his row of medals on. And he's a nice fella. I can't remember his name, but he's a really nice fella. He always comes up, gives me a hug. And he's standing there, and I've noticed this woman with the purple rinse getting really trappy. And what she's saying to him is, you're the terrorist. You've caused terrorism. You are to blame for terrorist attacks. And I could see, I thought, this is going to get ugly in a minute. And he's going to be the one that looks bad because he's a man shouting in the face of a woman, even though he was only actually defending himself and what he was being accused of. And I did no more. It's quite funny, really.
You polished the bugle.
I polished the bugle, right? I dust off my knuckle duster. I've literally gone like that. I put my hand on his chest and I pushed it. And I went, get out of my way. Out of my way. And this woman stood there and I went, right. I said, you've come into this march. You're screaming fascist, Nazi, bigot, racist. You're accusing this man of being a terrorist. So I now have a question for you. How many Muslim women have you taken in fleeing honour-based violence or death? And she went, well, that's not relevant. I said, no, I think it's very relevant. So I'll ask you again, how many Muslim women have you helped? What have you done to help Muslim women? She went, well, that's not really the point. I said, that is the point, because I have done it. And you're in here screaming racist, fascist, Nazi, bigot at people like me and people like him. He's fought for his country. People have died fighting for your freedom to stand there, spouting off your vile vitriol. I said, and I'm standing there telling you I have taken in a Somalian Muslim woman into my home. She was the one that was in fear of her own life from her own family, but I'm the far-right fascist. Seriously? And I see this copper and I said, if I was you, I'd move her. And he called the money off and he went, oh, have a real please, young lady. And with that, we all just, but nobody made a big deal. We walked on and we carried on singing Rule Britannia. We carried on singing The Saints Are Coming. We just carried on going forward. She wasn't going to ruin, which is what she was hoping to do. And then, but also we had the flip side where we had the guy who was also a veteran, who was a staunch left, who was screaming at our guys, they don't speak for me, they're not veterans. He was as drunk as a skunk. Do you know what I mean? But there wasn't one person drunk on that march. There was no cans of lager. And the only one that was drunk, that was screaming for the left, was also asked to be removed, and the police officers removed him immediately. So we did everything we could to ensure safety, to ensure freedom of speech. I even said to the guy, put your name down, get on, we'll give you your freedom of speech. You can have your opinion, even if it's one we don't share. We'll give you a platform to say why you don't agree with us. But then I'm going to get up on that platform and I'm going to challenge you on what you say.
Well, I felt it was, like you say, freedom of speech. He's got the right to say what he's saying. He doesn't agree with it. I thought I'd seen him earlier in the march, and I thought he was all for it. I didn't realise he was going to play a stunt like that. My only gripe is that you don't do it like that. To get in people's faces when people are going about the march in a nice civil manner. There was no hatred there. There was no need for him to interject as if all of a sudden we are the enemy, because there was nothing being said that really suggested that. And there was nothing that anyone was doing that suggested that either. There was no nasty rhetoric. There was no, negative interaction with passers-by. There was nothing. So there was no need for him to do that. He obviously had his objections with the way things went down. That's fair enough. There's a load that were holding banners probably 100 or so meters up the street. He should have really joined them. We didn't jump in their face and start saying how wrong they was. We asked questions. I had one moment where I run over and we asked a question. We didn't jump all in their face and started trying to rip up the carpet, because that can only inflame. So he didn't do it right. But I will say this, it was quite amusing. I did see, well, not this bit. He come up, he was talking, and then when I think it might have been a woman, but somebody kind of criticised what he was doing and the way he'd done it. They done it in a typical working class manner, so let me just leave it like that. But he literally, it was brilliant. And it was women, let me say, and it was like, this is what I love. I love a woman with an independent mind who's not afraid to say something when they see something wrong. So next thing you know, red cards are being brandished in his face. So he goes kind of bowing up towards somebody now, because I was more looking at through the camera. I wasn't seeing who he was bowing up to. It could have been a woman, it could have been a man. I'm not suggesting he was about to get violent, but what he was doing was a more aggressive manner. It was like he wasn't pleased and he wanted to get as close up to the person who said it as possible. And then there was this woman, I'd met her in the pub later on, absolutely brilliant lady, dark hair. She was just brandishing a red card in his face and just, F off, get out of it. Because really,
when Matt Murdoch brought the red cards, it was to show the left the red card for them.
Right. Well, he was getting it. He was getting it from everyone. But, he deserved it. It was uncalled for him to do that. He didn't.
He started to get physical. He started to push a woman. And there was no need for that. You can have like I said to him, put your name down, get in touch with the group. You want to have a platform, I'm sure they'll put you up and they'll give you a platform. And then after the march, I don't know if you've seen this, but there's a page called Newcastle Unite. Now they're claiming, and I have to say claiming, because I'll be honest here, and on art, I think it's bullshit. But they're claiming that somebody broke ranks from the Veterans Against Terrorism and went up and spat on a Muslim woman. Now, I'm sorry, but I believe there was 2 Muslim women in the leftist march. There would have been cameras on them from start to finish. And anybody had done anything like that, they would have got a photograph of the man, yet you've got no description of him. We've got no description of the Muslim women. We've all been onto their page and said, tell us the description of the man, because if we find out it happened and we find out who it is, we'll get rid of them. They won't be welcome on a march. But anyone who asks a question, they automatically block them. Which speaks to me of a guilty conscience.
They can't provide the proof. It's just an easy way. It's just like saying they're racist. It's not something you could actually ever prove. It's just a way of stalling and agitating and stifling any progression, really. So for me, I'm not saying that happened or it didn't happen. I wasn't there. I didn't see it. Although I did see one Muslim lady take photos, and I've sent you the links, the photos themselves via WhatsApp. Which clearly shows, whilst the march was commencing, there was a Muslim lady with the veil on over her head taking photos point blank in front of the march.
Yeah.
Now, this happened in real time. She had actually passed me to do it. Not one person interjected with her. Not one person had anything to say. Now, I've got to have it right. She could have been with the left. She might not have been. I found it probably unlikely that she is a passerby that would just go straight bolt up to a march to take a photo like that. She seems to have a bit more.
I can see that, but there's the photograph that you sent me. Okay.
That's it. Yeah.
Now, and as you rightly say, she was in with the walk. Nobody turned on her. Nobody said anything rude, derogatory. Nobody was abusive towards her. She's there again. You can see she's got her back.
Yep.
March. So I do not believe for 1 second that anybody did what they were claiming had been done. I don't believe it happened. I think it's a pack of lies. Now, if they then came to us and said, actually, we've got the evidence that it's happened, then in my opinion, of course, we would say to them, you're not welcome. You are not welcome.
Because we want it just as clean as anybody else. I don't want to condone any of that because for me, like yourself, Tony, this is all about being positive. And we started this show off saying that, how positive the whole event was. How the amount of people I walked round and shaking my hand for various reasons. We're just generally talking about the march and other topics. But everyone was happy. There was plenty of women there that had spoke to that had never actually attended a march before, and men as well, that they didn't know what to expect. And it broke their duck and it made them feel a bit better, and it broke the narrative. Do you like that? Do you like that, Tim?
Oh, I'm so nicking that. If I'm ever so say, what's the matter? I broke my duck.
No cricket, Tim. I don't even like cricket. Next thing you know, I'm talking cricket.
That is a new one for me. I've never, but I'm definitely going to use that. Definitely.
Oh, jeez. That comes from the Rolodex of unuseful statements, that one, I tell you. I've got plenty of them.
I'm keeping it because it's so brilliant. That really, that so fits with the left narrative, doesn't it? You know, what's the matter? I broke my duck. In other words, you're going to make a big deal out of a very small thing. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And that's what they have a tendency to do. And I noticed that there was something called Searchlight had done an article. Again, I was referred to as a Nazi. Again, I'm referred to as a far-right Islamophobe. I'm trying to figure out this whole far-right. I don't see myself as far-right. I think I'm centre. I certainly don't think I'm a Nazi. I don't think you'd be marching with me if I was.
I don't think so.
I don't think that I'm an Islamophobe. Firstly, because I don't believe it's a real word. I think it's a made-up word to shut down discussions. Secondly, how can I be, when I stood on that platform and I read a text message out from a Muslim woman, how the hell can I, of all people, or any of those people that didn't turn on that woman in the march? That's the other thing. A Muslim woman in the march, nobody turned on her. Nobody. So how the hell are any of them, if according to them Islamophobia is hatred of Muslims, why didn't anybody turn on them? Yeah. Nobody did.
Because it's not there, Tony. This is what I'm saying. The sentiment within that march is not their narrative. It's nowhere near their narrative. People are pissed for various reasons. There's various degrees of sentiment and feeling because everyone's got their own little angle on what they're really pissed about in this scenario at this moment in time. So we're not going to get away from that. But I think what people are realising, particularly with the vets and the way the vets have portrayed that march and the way they've handled it and organised it, because they were at the front of that march, really corralling everyone and making sure everything was right, that they profess and they portray positivity. So anyone who attends that march, that's really all that was condoned. And I agree with you. The one thing I didn't see anyone walking around with cans of beer or any kind of beverage like that, because I'm one to having a little cheeky one before the march starts. I'm all good for that. But it is the one, and I won't be walking the streets with it because optically that looks terrible. You're playing into it. So if any comment does get spat out in that direction, it's because you're drunk. even though you might have just opened that can, but this is the narrative that people will use against you. So you've got to be smarter, and you probably have a better time without a drink in your hand. Anyway, look forward to the drink after the actual march. But I didn't see any of that. There was just a lot of guys. The FLA turned out, Newcastle, which was brilliant to see. And everyone just behaved themselves, and it was a good atmosphere.
Somebody's just said here, because obviously I could see the comments coming up. So Louis Walsh says, why are you talking about Nazis or Islamophobe? For God's sake, why do you keep saying you are not racist or Islamophobic or whatever? Well, we're not saying, it's not because we feel the need to say we're not. It's because they constantly feel the need to say we are.
Yeah.
It's more about not us denying that we are one way or the other, because we know we're not. It's about the fact that every time they write about something, instead of addressing the very real issues that people have, the very real fears that people have, they just want to label people because they can't break down that argument. I had a taxi the other week. I was doing an RT debate, and the taxi driver that picked me up was a Muslim guy. He was actually married to a Christian woman, and him and I were having this really nice conversation. And I said to him, as a Muslim guy of Pakistani origin, do you understand why non-Muslims feel the way that they feel? Do you understand why people are afraid to trust? Now, you might be an honest guy going about doing an honest day's work for an honest day's pay, paying your taxes, etc., etc. Can you understand why non-Muslims feel as they do? And do you think we are wrong to start? And do you know what he said to me? He went, no, you're not wrong. And no, I don't blame, especially women, for having the fear that they have when it comes to Pakistani men, especially Pakistani men in a taxi. He said, and it does affect my business. It affects me making a living. So these left that scream these words out because they refuse to address these issues are a part of the reason that they actually victimize these Muslims trying to do an honest day's work who aren't like this. They victimize them too because they want the conversation, and the conversation is shut down. And what was really interesting is a guy called M.A.R.I.A.S. Patel. And M.A.R.I.A.S. Patel had said to me, we'd had a quite long conversations, and he retweets me a lot, and he'd constantly say to people, she's not a racist, she's not a bigot, she's none of these things, she's telling the truth. It's our community's duty to get up and call it out for what it is. She is not a racist. And as we got to know each other, he said something to me, that two things he said that were really profound. One, he said to me, I used to be just the son of my father. Now I'm only ever known as the brother-in-law of the 7/7 bomber. Mm. Now, he had nothing to do with his brother-in-law. They weren't close. If anything, they had nothing but condemnation because he was always off around the country. But because that's who he was a brother-in-law too, that's all people started to see. But he could understand it. And the other thing that he said to me I thought was really profound is he turned around and he said, the left act like masters to slaves. Because they come out and they talk about what you can't say about the Muslim community, what you can't say about Islam. He said, like we're victims, like we're owned by them and they speak for us. And I sat there and I thought, he's right. Mm. He is right. I don't feel the need to step up and protect every single Muslim. I will protect Muslim women because they're victims, and I will be there to help them. But I think he's right. When we see these lefty oppositions, as you've seen yourself and I've seen on more than one occasion, it's never, when they were singing in Edinburgh with black, white, Muslim and Jew, and me and you were going, no, you're not. There's not one black, there's not one Muslim, there's not one Jew. You're none of those things. You're just a bunch of middle-aged, grey-haired men who happen to have white skin. You are acting like masters to slaves.
Well, it's exploitation.
I thought it was an interesting way of looking at it.
It's exploitation of different races in order to get your agenda across, isn't it? You know what I mean? Using the Jews, using whoever they want, Islam, using black people to curtail other people. Now, in a way, this will kind of lean to the next thing that I'd really want to talk about, because this plays a lot into where you're saying the left and the way they act and how they demonize people, which in a way can create the hatred and create the animosity because people are labeled in the way that they are, when in generally speaking, most people have got genuine concerns. But if you go down that route of that concern, then through PC culture, you are deemed a racist, you are deemed Nazi, this, that, and the other. So in a way, that could end up with you actually manifesting that, or at least looking at people that are speaking more in them tones. Now, the reason why I say that is that on the march, just before it started, there was a lovely lady who had met in Sunderland, Kath. I'm not sure of her surname. I don't think she'd probably want me to say it anyway, but a lovely lady called Kath. She was well involved with the Justice for Chelsea march in Sunderland. And she had T-shirts, her and a couple of her friends of hers, on the day in Newcastle. And anyone can see the footage. She lifted a jumper up and underneath had a white T-shirt. And I think it said, "I stand for Billy Charlton." Now, it was referring to Billy Charlton, who is a prominent speaker. I don't know too much about him, but I know I've been on a couple of Justice for Chelsea marches where he spoke. He's a powerful speaker. He shoots from the hip. He's probably a little bit too angry for me when he speaks. But having said that, this is a man that's probably witnessed all types of shenanigans going on in his town, and he's a very vocal person, so he's speaking out about it. Now, Kath was referring to how they'd basically been, the police had come, raided the house and this, that, and the other, and basically a form of persecution against Billy, which is obviously not, you know, can't condone it. Now, as the march proceeded, we all had a good day. I went home. A few days later, I get a comment through YouTube, and it sends me a link to an article, which I could probably at some point leave at the bottom of this for anyone if they want to see it. And it was an article all about Billy and other subjects as well. But it mentioned Billy in reference to a photo that it had attached to it that was two members, or at least this is what the photo was. It was a photo of two men, one lady, plus Billy. In this photo, there are two flags with the emblems and the name of Combat 18 on the flags. Billy is, you could say, stood proudly behind it. You could definitely say it's no accident that he's in this shot with the photo anyway. So now the point being is it knocks a bit of credibility off from obviously Billy's plight. But the angle that I want to go down, I don't want to vilify anybody. I actually want to look at the reasons probably why, and we've discussed this, as to what would make people go to them extreme lengths. So with that, I'm going to leave that with you, Toni, if any of that made sense, what I just said.
I get you. Before I do, I just want to say there are people here who are advertising, so I'm going to give a couple of shout out here. I know that there is Gays Against Sharia coming up on the 3rd of, I think this is the 3rd of this month.
Yep.
I know there is FLA Scotland, Birmingham, 24th of March. I'm not sure if I've seen it missed anymore, but if I have, I'll apologise now. But so getting back to what you were saying, what I think is people are sort of very quick to, look, I don't support things like Combat 18 at all. I have no interest in anything like Combat 18. But in order for people to feel so desperate that they feel that that's all they've got, that they are at the point of nobody gets us, nobody's listening to us. If you're not going to listen to us, you've created, in a way, our government and the left have brought racism and hatred right to the very top again. Now, you and I and people like you and me and the people that run them, we don't actually want that hatred. That's being created by our government. That's being created by the political correct pandering that we're seeing. So if we want less of something, you've got to give them a better way of doing it. This is a bit like when they go, well, you had the EDL there. No, we didn't have the EDL there. There were people there who are ex-EDL. But surely you want less. Surely you want X something. You don't want more of it. You want less of it. And the only way you're going to get less of it is if you give them a better way of doing it. That makes sense to me. But can you blame somebody when you see a young girl has been raped in the most horrific manner? No justice, no proper investigation, witnesses not questioned. No matter how much you scream and shout, you're getting arrested continuously. Then they're standing up and saying, well, do you know what? Sod it, I'll stand behind Combat 18 then.
Yeah. I mean, and that'll work both ways. You know, if you're getting a black group that's going to get vilified, they're going to feel just as disorientated, disenfranchised, and that is what's going to happen. It's a bit in the middle, like you say, the left, how they get the hatred, they get the identity politics. It's like they get it in a nice little pot and they stir it up, and with all different types of headlines and the way they castigate certain races over here, and that race is vilified there, this one is trumpeted over here. It's going to create that animosity. There's no fair ground. Now, I'm only saying that from a person directly in the middle. I'm not saying it from either side. I'm not looking after anybody. I'm just saying as a fair assessment. If when I was growing up in the 70s, I would expect the same deal, people to be kind of looking in the middle and going, you know what? I can see how black people get vilified a hell of a lot here because this is all new to the indigenous population of migration of black people. So, but you can't categorize every black person. So I get with the ethics of not, and we are all about that, not tarring everyone with the same brush. But these guys don't do that. These guys don't even want to listen to the march or take anything positive from that march. Just the fact that you've attended, just the fact that you feel with the talking points or you resonate with them certain talking points makes you A, B, and C, which as an individual, you can only get called that so many times. And then at some point, I wouldn't say you radicalize, but you're going to just metaphorically stick the fingers up.
Well, it's the old simple. It's such a simple thing of when you're the little boy or the little girl at school, and the teacher keeps going, "You're bad. You're bad." When you grow up, you're going to be nothing. When you grow up, you're going to be nothing. You'll work in a factory and you'll have nothing all your life because that's what you're. You tell a child that continuously, that child will grow up and be exactly what you've told them to be. They have no reason to be anything other than what you've told them they are. So if you keep screaming at people, you're a racist, you're a racist, you're a racist, sooner or later there are going to be those who go, do you know what? You've called me it. You've said I'm a Nazi. I might as well get behind Combat 18.
Yeah.
Even if I actually don't agree with them, because it's what you expect from us.
Yeah.
And that really annoys me because I actually think the left are more dangerous than even somebody standing behind a flag, which is it was a stupid thing to do. I'm sorry, but it was. I think it was a stupid thing to do. I think it was a dangerous thing to do as well. Me, myself, if somebody stood there, I could easily stand behind a flag, not even know what that flag's for. I didn't even know what Combat 18 was 2 years ago. Didn't know.
If people don't know, I mean, this is something I don't want to look up, but I looked up on Wikipedia and this is what it says. Combat 18 is a neo-Nazi organisation originated in the UK. It has spread to different countries now. Combat 18 members have been suspected in numerous deaths of immigrants, non-whites and other Combat 18 members, so they even turn on themselves. So these are wrong-uns, they just got the nasty connotation. So they're founded in 1992 and their motto, whatever it takes, white revolution is the only solution. Now, if that's not playing into divide and conquer, I don't know what is, So, I mean, what do you say from that? I'll leave that with you, Toni.
Well, I mean, that tells me everything I need to know for me to go, mate, I'll tell you what, I could be on my arse without a pot to piss in, and you could offer me £1 million. just to stand by, and I would not stand near their flag. I would not get involved with them. I would have nothing to do with them.
But you bring up a really good point as well, Tony, that with this photo, and same again, I will leave a link if I can. This is not you're just walking past someone who's just took it and the flag happens to be there. He stood behind it with his thumbs up. So, and this article does refer to him being more affiliated with the group. I can't say, I don't really know. But the point being, it gives you food for thought that, yourself, how many times did you have photos taken on the march? For all you know, there could be somebody there with some kind of emblem that you don't realise because you're taking an innocent photo with someone, and then that 2 years later.
Seriously, that day, I mean, you had it as well. I mean, I started to look around thinking, I don't know who they think they are. I thought they'd mistaken me for some kind of, I don't know, actress or something, because the people were something, there was like a phone in my face, boom, picture. Now, for all I know, that person taking that picture with me, who goes, can I get a picture? Yeah, of course you can. Smile. That could have been somebody who's combating. But there's this assumption that the left make that when you hold a march, you're accountable for every single solitary person who's turned up and walked on that march. That you are somehow, you must know, you know their name, their age, their birthday, and their inside leg measurement. Do you know what I mean?
I know. It don't make any sense. And you are representative of every ideal that is attributed to the right, the far right, the long distance right. You can't be in your own little niche and still address certain key issues. No, all the left is all the left. We could talk about paedophilia. We could talk about the acquiescence of all kinds of nasty shit that personally, pardon my French, that I don't want to be attributed to, but they don't regard and want to differentiate. They just want to regard themselves as the left, And what they do with the right, instead of going, well, these guys maybe have got conservative right-leaning views, but in that term of corridors where, the top door is harmless as opposed to the bottom door, which is, almost terroristic in its nature. Both the left and right have got these corridors. What we're trying to do is at the top end of that corridor, but they just want to assume and portray to people that are not aware and are asleep that you are representative of that bottom, when in reality, you show me where their members of the bottom are, because I will out them, because they are doing us no favors. We don't need this.
We've already said that, haven't we? We've just, and somebody's just reminded me, actually, David Hoyes just reminded me that I was once told what the 18 stands for in Combat 18. But I didn't know was that the number 1 is the first letter of the alphabet, A. H is the 8th letter, so it's Adolf Hitler.
That's right, yeah.
Well, I didn't know that 2 years ago. And it's only because David Hoyes just put it up there that he's just reminded me. Mm-hmm. Would I stand next to something that glorifies Adolf Hitler? Let me have a little think. No. It's that simple. But if somebody stood next to me with a flag and I don't know what the hell that flag means, that doesn't mean I support what that person's standing there with. Whereas with the left, who stand there with their communism flags and their Hezbollah flags, and you've got the Quds March with the AK-47 or whatever it is on the front of it, Kalashnikov, I think it is. They know exactly what that's about, and yet they'll stand there and tell us that we should put up with that shit.
Yeah, yeah.
It beggars belief that the left, they come across with this whole, we're pure as the driven snow. We stand up for right over wrong. We're for the people. We're for humanity. We're against the BBC paedophiles. Great. I'm against the BBC paedophiles. I'm against any Westminster paedophile. You want me to come to BBC and condemn BBC who hid the paedophiles that were going on? 100% I'll do it. Now come and stand against the Muslim girly gangs with me. Oh, no, no, no. Not going to touch that, because the truth is a bitter pill, literally pill, too far to swallow. It is. It's a very bitter pill. And I am so sick to death of being told that we've got white rapists too. We've got white paedophiles too. Nobody said any different. Nobody's ever denied it. They don't operate in a gang mentality where they target a specific type of girl or boy. The Catholic priests do. They target little boys. They were available. And that's what they went for, little boys. Mm. And nobody went, it's not a true Catholic priest. Nobody did that. The Catholics turned around and said, dirty, filthy, raping Catholic, because it's what they did. Every Catholic condemned it. All of us, me, you, and everybody together has condemned the BBC. Not a problem. We have no issue doing that. Muslim grooming gangs, you can't say that they're Asian. They're not Asian.
I know. You're being disrespectful to Asians. You know, was it Lord Pearson said that in the House of Lords? And look what happened there. Friggin' hell. He woke him up all right. And it was only one comment. I think I'd done a video on that. It was 7 words.
Brilliant.
And it's like, what the hell? It's like they'd all just had 10,000 votes put through.
The best bit of Lord Pearson's question, is it fair to class these Muslim grooming gangs as Asian? Is that not unfair to the entire Asian continent when we have this issue? And she turned around and she went, I just don't know which part of that to disagree with first. And then followed it with, and of course, not all Muslims are Asian. Yeah, that's what he's just said. you just have to agree with him.
It's like, I'm just going to disagree with you for disagreeing's sake. And then I'm going to agree with you, but I'm still going to make it look like I disagree with you because I can't seem to agree with you.
And she accidentally agreed with him. That's what she did. It was accidental.
Backtracked.
She realised that she'd made a bit of a dick of herself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was the indignation. It was the absolute indignation of it all. And I just thought, yeah, this is why our country's screwed. We've got people like you trying to run it.
Just curtailing people and normal fears. You know, well, changing the subject slightly, Toni. The police. How did you think the police handled the whole event?
I thought the police were superb, actually. I've got to say, in fact, if you watch my live feed, you won't see it because you're not on Facebook, Phil. I'm just letting you know that this is coming in soon as well. He's not, he thinks he's getting off lightly. He's so not. Right? Look at his face, people.
No, I can't believe this, Toni. I can't believe you do this to me.
You have no idea what I would do. But I thought that on the live feed there was a couple walking right behind us, big smile on his face. He's walking along, and he said it seems so slowed up. I said, yeah, I think we're doing a slow march just to make sure that disabled people like me can keep up. And I said, it's nice to have a good, honest cop here. And he laughed. They were jovial, they were good, they were happy, they were content, they were very pleased with the way the march had gone. And when there was problems, i.e. with the very fascist, and when there was problems with the guy screaming that all our lads were terrorists, etc., they didn't hang about. The minute I went up to them and said, I want them removed, please remove them now. There was no messing, there was no big furore over it. They went in, they removed them, job done. Perfect. I can't criticise them at all from what I saw that day. I really can't. I thought it was perfect.
With all the other marches I've attended, I must admit they were probably one of the best behaved. There's been a few where they've been more positive. I'm trying to find it now because what I'm trying to see, Toni, I want to see progression. You know, there's no point in going to the same marches year in, year out, and you don't see a progression in numbers, and you don't see a progression in the attitude of the march itself and the attitude with the police and obviously the general public, because they're the ones that you really want to join. You know, it's all like, is this the way to Amarillo? We're all marching, and you just want everyone just to join as the march is proceeding type of thing. But particularly with the way the police acted on that day, I'm finding it more and more that the police are acting in a more common sense manner when they're going about the policing. They're being very considerate. Now, whether they're doing the same to the left, whether they can notice that the left are acting a bit more strangely, particularly on the marches that I've attended. But I've never had any trouble. They never seem to get in this kind of wrangling mentality where they just want to herd you along the street. They tend to let you go about your business. They're not vilifying you. They're talking to you in a nice, polite manner. So that, to me, breaks another narrative that maybe the police can identify, and they're softening their stance, and maybe they can realise and see which organisations they know it's gonna be fruity and which ones are not as well. You know, there could be all types of issues.
I actually think as well. I think the coppers that were actually got themselves in to the march secretly agreed with us. They can't say they do, but what better way to participate?
Right.
To be there on your job and get it, because they could have stayed on the outskirts, on the edges. They didn't. They, you know, they got right into the middle. Not a problem. Nobody was rude to them. Nobody was impolite to them. Everybody did exactly, and there was not one drunk person. Not what I mean. I can't say for afterwards. There was a few of us that was a tad tipsy. I confess. Myself, I was tipsy. You know, the rest were hammered. I was just tipsy. But yeah, afterwards we went for, there was a group of us, and I've got to say, hats off to Richard Inman, because I thought he was superb. Sean Smart as well. What a fantastic guy. Him and the guys, when I went up and said, you need to keep it on that one, that one, and that one, they was all over it. There was no messing. They hold themselves with dignity. They hold themselves with pride. They fully support what I do. They're 100% behind me. Dan Devitt was, God love him, was down at the EGM meeting for UKIP, because of course the same day we got the news that Gerard Batten is now the interim leader, and hopefully will go on to be the leader, because he's finally got somebody who's addressing the issues we've got, and that's really important. So the guys on that day, I can't fault them enough, and I have to say also thank you to them for the help they gave me to get it up on that staging, because when you got too knackered, if you could have seen that, I'm glad you didn't film that yourself. Because there's two pulling me from one end, and there's also I'm not sure who it was, but there was a hand on my arms pushing it upwards. I thought, oh, this is so embarrassing. Do you know what I mean? And then I had to help me get that back down off it again. But there was a lot of laughter. It was a joyous occasion, I think is the important thing. It was a joyous occasion. It wasn't dull and boring or deadly serious. The issues were serious. And the issues we addressed were serious. And when we'd finished, the stager was taken down, we dispersed, we went off in the, and that's the other thing. I'm pretty certain I remember we took all the stager and everybody dispersed in the opposite direction of where the left were. So when did this guy suddenly break ranks to go and spit on this Muslim woman then? Because we all went in the opposite direction.
Yeah. No, I don't know. Is the answer. There's no proof unless they can prove it. And it's not a question of, oh, well, they're saying, well, you've got to prove it so they don't believe, is it? Like you just said, Toni, we'd be more than happy to castigate anyone who acted in that manner, because it's not what we're about. We have put up with all kinds of slurs thrown at all members of that party. And probably individuals on their own social media for the concerns that they have. So why would they let it manifest in that way on that day? It doesn't make any sense at all. It just seems like an easy way. It's like children. You know, when you've got two children in the room and you're doing the washing up and one of them screams out, he's just hit me. Now, most of the time they're doing that for attention rather than I had a bit of that today as with our two, but anyway, that's another story. But you know, they'll play it up just to get effect, to get the other one in trouble. I do think there is a lot of that, because they can't touch that march. Everything was fine about that march. The positivity level, there was no animosity, there was no anger at all. So it's dead in the water. It's quite redundant. And it's
not because by making this allegation, even though they have no evidence to back this allegation up, there is, you know, selectively no witnesses, no photograph, nobody can describe the man. but it will go down as a hate crime.
Yeah.
And that gives them the stats to measure what they claim is rising tide of Islamophobia, which goes into Sadiq Khan's hate mob, which vilifies us even more. The fact that there's no truth in it won't matter. It will still be measured.
Well, it's a negative story they can use, and to the unwashed masses, to the asleep population, if they spin that and make the story all about the spitting, you know, which they do, headlines do that, and they can make that the focal part of the story rather than, oh, a load of Nazis just assembling in the centre of Newcastle, then yeah, they can do that. All we can do is just keep filming it and seeing for ourselves. And every time I go to particularly the vets marches, I'm finding no one's got that in the heart at all. I'm going to another march this weekend, which is the one that you referred to before, Immigrants and Gays Against Sharia down in Bristol. I implore anyone to get down there if you can. It wasn't the biggest numbers last year, but one thing I will say, Tony, that was the most positive march I went to last year. The feeling, the sentiment within the people of Bristol there, and considering it's so funny again, because the hatred was all coming from the left. The sentiment within that march, we were all walking nice. No one was, you know, shouting anything. No one had any kind of anger. They just wanted to be proud to fly the flag and talk about the various issues. The left were following us down the street, bopping in and out of bushes, screaming all kinds of nastiness that you wouldn't even scream to a paedophile as he's walking down the street. And it's like, how can you do this to innocent people? So it knocked me for six, the difference in attitude. So I'm hoping numbers-wise, it's going to be a lot better. And I'm sure the left are going to turn out down there, because apparently the left in Bristol are very prominent. The lady who organises the marches down there, Annie Greek, she has had to endure a hell of a lot of abuse, physical violence. So I know it's going to be a fruity one, but I know where the fruitiness is going to come from. And it's the same old story, Tony. You know, what more can you do than show a bloody positive march?
Well, because the truth of it is as well, unfortunately, and as somebody has just mentioned on here, and I agree, marching alone is not enough. It's not. In order, and people keep saying, oh, well, I don't have nothing to do with politics. If you're not going to have nothing to do with politics, you're going to make no changes. The only way to make change, you've got to be prepared to get political. You just have to.
Well, I mean, I'll take that. I'll assume you're talking to me there, because as you know, I'm not one that's a voter. The only vote I've ever cast was Brexit, and that's it. But I am seeing this is something that a political wing is needed, without a doubt. I believe people power is just as important, without a doubt. Numbers on the street, civilly and doing things right and fairly, airing their grievances, is very powerful, and that can create change. But you do need the halls of power. So, no, I totally agree with you there. And that's why it was such exciting news when Richard and Sean announced that hopefully, you know, UKIP will be working with them moving forward. It's certainly, you know, a lot of people have been putting on the comments. A lot of people are still pissed with UKIP, if I'm going to read between the lines, because of the way they've treated M.A.R.I.A.S, and possibly with Mr. Farage, the way he's kind of walked sideways a little bit when he was gaining so much ground and strength. So now, you know, Anne-Marie's built up her own new thing now. A lot of people were making comments like, well, you know, UKIP's done now. They're only kind of doing this to make themselves relevant again, which I'd probably say, you know what? I don't care if the Cookie Monster wants to go political, if he wants to talk about these issues and bring them out in a fair manner, I'll back him. I'll back M.A.R.I.A.S. I will back UKIP. I don't care. It's not an issue. I'm not going to all of a sudden become partisan and join that fight again, which we had a real lengthy conversation about that, about the knockings of the right and how people over egos and different scenarios are knocking the crap out of each other. And that becomes more focal than actually the mandate of moving forward. So it's about solidarity.
And I get that not everybody can stand together. I get that. You know, there are some organisations, some movements. No, I won't entertain it. I just won't. But I do think that we do need. This is why I was really glad that Gerard Batten, you know, has been put in as the interim leader. I think Bolton was an absolute disgrace to his position. I think he was there to destroy the party. Now that he's involved and that the veterans have also got a voice within UKIP, that means that there is a party that finally might actually have a voice of the people that puts pressures on the government to actually deal with these issues. And many people may not agree with that, but that's up to them. I'm just looking here, just so you know. Somebody's just said, can you let Red Pill Phil know that the police have backtracked on everything that Gays Against Sharia organised and have given in to Antifa threats and violence?
Meaning the march is called off?
I don't think it's been called off, but I think it sounds like they've changed a lot of the details about it by the looks of it.
Well, like I say, there's a strong left contingent in Bristol, and they were hardcore last year to a group that were, let's say, meek in comparison on the day. You could see where the hatred and the animosity, and if I ever had so much hatred on the street while I'm shouting to somebody, then I'd have to really question what's going on, you know, because these guys were really far gone on that day. So, and I do know Annie always constantly tells me, and others do, of the abuse that she gets, you know, being followed, all kinds of shenanigans going on, being personally attacked, being vilified all the time. So I'm going to have to get in touch with Annie tomorrow and see how it changes.
I'm just having a look through the comments because I know I'm trying, if I can, to answer some of the questions that are put forward. And there's people saying, you know, Toni, I feel we should start a new party. See, I actually don't believe I don't think a new party is the way forward. And this is just my opinion. And this is why. It took 20 years for UKIP to even be, for anybody to even know who they were. It costs some money to get a new party off the ground. It takes money to drive it forward. We don't have 20 years just to get a new party and its name recognised. It makes more sense with UKIP, who is now recognised, now gets airtime as well on the TV and the radio. It makes more sense. Let's turn that party into what it needs to be, what it should have always been. And it should be a people's party that represents the will of the people and applies pressure to the government. And but that's my personal opinion. That's not me saying that people shouldn't get involved with different parties if they wish to. But I just think that if we're going to really make a difference, that for me is the way to do it. That's what I do.
Yeah, well, it's same again. It's a case of dropping your partisan hat a little bit here and not getting too personalised with any one party and just...
The guy just said the march hasn't been called off. Same time, same place. Police are trying to bully Gays Against Sharia into a short route near the train station. Annie and Tommy have refused it, and they are asking. Okay, not sure what that means, but from what I can gather, so they've tried to make them take a short route, and I'm glad. Yeah. You know, I am glad that they've decided to say, no, we're not going to take the short route. I know that they did attempt to try and do that with the veterans, and the veterans went, no, not doing it, sorry, no.
Yeah. Well, if they're doing it out of fears or threats of violence, then they want to do it against the left and not the people who are holding the march.
My adopted brother was on there. I just want to say night to my adopted brother. Love you loads, bro. See you soon. See you at mother's and she's cooking. carry on.
Oh, right. Hope it's something nice. Anyway, yeah, no, it's they've got to consider that it's the left that's causing the problem here, and the police are obviously pandering. But from last year, there was no trouble. The people that were there were more than honourable in the way that they acted. I walked in and out of all that march. I met so many people there. Like I say, that was my second physical march I'd ever been on. The first one was UK Against Hate, and I think it was that one. Maybe, no, Justice for Chelsea was just before that. But the attitude, the feeling, it was brilliant. I went down there not really knowing anyone, and I come back knowing loads of people and thinking, I can't wait to come down and see these guys again. And some of them come up to the Tommy Robinson book signing in Manchester just late on last year. So I got the chance to meet them all again. And I can't wait to see them all at the weekend because they're just like us, you know, but you can see how the left are winning in that sense by sending out the proxy armies of hate and just quelling and making so much noise that out of sheer PC, oh, we better not have that march because this one's complaining over here. You know, no one ever rings up on the right side or the conservative side when, you know, these Remainers want to hold a march. No one's telling them, well, you can't march all the way down there. March where you want. I still feel the way I do. You've got the right to air your grievances, but it's that going back to the left again. They've just got that feeling where they have to control people, and that's what it is. It's a control mechanism, isn't it? It's not it's done in the guise of helping people, but it's a control mechanism all the same.
Well, I also think, by the way, he's just said here, Gays Against Sharia are asking for the old route we used in September last year. So I think they're trying to make them do a route that suits them. Instead of the route that they want, they're trying to make them go back and do the route that suits them. That's my understanding.
Right. Well, I hope Annie stays strong and sticks this one out, and I hope it is the same route, and I hope they get everything they want. I'm going to be down there. I'm going to be filming it. I'm going to try and get there as early as possible. I should be early there for the meet. So I'm hoping the footage is just going to be pretty much similar to the Newcastle footage, just wandering in and out of the crowds. And I'll obviously get a chat with Annie on the developments and what the police have said and what they're going on about now. It's ironic that we're talking about the police and saying how nice and friendly they was. Now, I hope it's the police being nice about this or whether they're actually bullying and trying to control what goes on within this march. But who knows? Who knows? I just hope for good weather and a good turnout, if I'm going to be totally honest.
I think the problem is people need to understand there's a difference between the average copper doing his job and following the orders he's been given. The problem is not the copper on the beat. I just want to make that clear. It's not. It's the hierarchy. That's where the bullshit comes in. They are the problem. Those guys doing their job. I want everybody. I don't care if it's Gays Against Sharia or Veterans Against Terrorism, whatever march it is. Just make sure you're respectful to the guys doing their job, because. And also maybe it's time now when the left break ranks, as Vinny's just said himself, when the left break ranks and push themselves into the march that we're having to try and create a situation, well, maybe it's time we started complaining then.
Yeah.
You know, maybe that's time.
But I've noticed that the people I encounter on these marches, they're all common sense, honourable people. And morally, I don't ever see them taking the high ground, because how much has everybody been vilified already for what they're doing and just attending a march? And no one moans being called this, being called that. You know, you just take it and laugh now. It doesn't mean anything. Although the nasty thing is, like what you said before, just because it doesn't affect us anymore, it doesn't mean that it's not causing damage by them still calling you that, because the connotation's still there that scares asleep people from actually looking at joining organisations like this for fear of being vilified. So they know what they're doing, and they know that they probably won't. But I do agree. We've took the moral high ground. We just don't seem to react. We seem to take it on the chin, no matter what mud is flung. But I don't know. I really don't know. I'm kind of lost for words on that one. You take over there, Toni. You say what you think.
Well, the first thing I'm going to say, if I'm honest, look, I watched our marches that you and I have been to 2 together now. And I see the positive that comes from those marches. And even if it is educating the locals, I spoke to no end of locals. I had women on hen nights the night before. And they were like, what are you doing for? Oh, I'm hen night. Oh, great. Yeah, lovely. What are you doing for? Well, I'm giving a speech. All right, you're giving a speech. Well, let me tell you. And I talked to them, and they did, you know what, I'll make my way down there tomorrow. And they did.
Excellent. Excellent.
There's no reason why we can't talk to the locals and get the locals involved and get them to understand we're not here to cause you problems with your business. We're not here to stop you from trading. We're not here to cause you upset. We're here because you need to know the truth.
Yeah.
Other people who don't realise it's happening with regards to grooming gangs, Muslim women being abused, being told that Sharia doesn't operate in this country. Yes, it does. In fact, there's a guy called Andrew Spencer Machin went along to an evening the other night where a Muslim group had organised this meeting, and he said, is it now time for Sharia in the UK? No, it's not. But yet we're told, on the other hand, the left go, there is no such thing as Sharia law in the UK. Yes, there is. So it's, you know, we're not to blame that the left are stupid and ignorant. But by the same token, there are those on the left who are slowly but surely opening their eyes, one person at a time. I've seen videos of young girls saying, I used to be a social justice warrior until I walked to the other side of the room. And I thought, what a brilliant way of putting it. And
well, it happens so many times, doesn't it? I mean, I was never a left-right person. I still don't believe in the left-right. You know, I think it's a paradigm that's put there to give the illusion of opposition, when in reality, we're all human beings. It's just a matter of opinion, but yet that opinion gets categorized, and that categorized can then be built, a strawman can be built, and let's vilify the hell out of it. You know, so they play a really sophisticated game with this. But to me, there's so many people like myself, like yourself. I am libertarian by thought. You know, you just don't curtail my thought or actions. You know what I mean? And there's people that, I mean, like Lucy Brown, Rebel Media. She was a member of Black Lives Matter.
She was, until they were racist to her.
You know, so it takes whatever it takes for individuals to actually red pill. You know, whether it might be looking at a clip, getting involved in an organisation, and then all of a sudden it backfires or bites you up the bum, you know, whatever it is. I do feel that is happening more and more so. The problem is getting people to have the confidence to come out to marches with the positivity that we've seen at Newcastle. Because same again with the straw man that these guys build, they make it hard for people to want to come out. Yeah. You know, you've got to be of a certain character to go, you know what, I don't mind. As you're walking in the town centre, that vision of police van after police van, sometimes with horses and all kinds of riot gear, when you're heading to that march, to the average person, that's like, whoa, what the hell? You know, it's almost like you're the one to blame. They're there for you, but in reality, they're not there for you. They're there to protect you, more or less, really. But it's the visualization of it, because most people don't want nothing to do with the police, glad that they never have to see the police in any format. So this ain't going to a concert. This is going to a demonstration that is flanked with van after van. So that has its own connotation. So it's breaking that mentality where we can get normal people to have the confidence to go, you know what, I'm up for this. I can see it, you know.
I think it is coming. I think it is growing. I think that there are a lot of left stepping away from that mentality. I do think it is happening, which is why we see even less left protesters than we used to once see. Where you once saw thousands, you now see 5, 15, 50, 100, 200 max. Because the truth of it is, even their own are going, yeah, you're not quite representing what I thought you were. And even though I won't go and stand with those because they're on the right, I'm sure they're not standing with you either. They're damaging themselves. Let them self-implode, I say. Let them do the damage themselves. I'm quite happy for them to damage themselves. All I need to do is hold a mirror up to you and you'll see how stupid you really are.
You know what, though? The only problem with that, Toni, I totally agree, because they are imploding. But these are the kind of guys, when they've lost ground, they would plant explosives in the building before fleeing. And then you think, yeah, we've gained new ground, boom. You know, and that's what they're like. They've got that mentality where they won't want to give up anything. They'll want to destroy something rather than let you have it. It's a very childish mentality, that's going on. So, yeah, I just hope with the Bristol March that it can all end up nice and civil, and the left basically get told, listen, it's you guys that are going to be the difference between a positive and a negative march here. But again, that's their freaking tactic, Toni. That's what they love. They love agitating. You know, there's nothing about being honourable and morals with them.
No. And before, because obviously we don't want to drag on for hours, but one thing I do want to point out about the left that was there that day, Wayman Bennett was there. Wayman Bennett, you arse of a man, you held a kangaroo court when a woman was raped rather than let the police deal with it. It's well known, widely reported across the media. Do you really think you're a man that can stand in judgment against people like me and the veterans and Phil? I don't think so. Morally, I think you're corrupt, mate. I don't think you've got honestly, the man is a disgrace. I also remember him calling for violence against police. He even wanted horses stabbed at one point. Police horses stabbed. He's not a person that represents me or any view I've got. And any left that's going to go and protest, if you're going to protest, I would advise perhaps steering away from somebody who thinks holding a kangaroo court for a woman who's been groomed and raped or been raped and finding the perpetrator not guilty. I would suggest perhaps that's not the person you should be standing with either. You know, and if you're centre, really, we are the people you should be stood with, because we're very much the centre. We're not right. We're not left. We are centre. Yeah. And there are people there who are left-leaning politically in a lot of ways, but would never vote Labour. Well, I can't say I blame them. I wouldn't vote Labour. Labour has systematically sold out the children of this country in every conceivable way. And if they can't see that, that makes them stupid. So on my last note is going to be this, though, because I do like to end on a positive. Watch Phil's face now.
Right, okay. I've got an idea where this is going, Toni. Okay, so
I have heard.
As we see it go down anymore, no, this is as low as it's going to go, yeah. Okay.
I've heard some people send me messages and ask me to pass them on to you, Phil. And right. As you had said, that, you know, for every person that asked you if you would give £1 to your children each. I can tell you now that number is going up every single day that I'm being asked if you are on Facebook, and if not, why not? And even if it is just a page. Now, I would implore everybody who's watching this now, please go onto his YouTube, leave a comment underneath and ask him if he would just set up a page, a Red Pill page, so that we all know where to go and find his videos, so that we can share him out more. So that's my sort of parting shot to you. And I was also asked by Richard and Sean and all the veterans to say, why is your ass on Facebook?
Talk about on the spot, Toni. Thank you very much. That is, I'm sure that was more of a left-wing tactic, what you just done there.
Yeah, it's called a woman's tactic, love.
Well, it's weird, whatever. Well, so what you're saying, I need to give me credit card details to my kids now. It's the amount's getting that much.
Credit card details to your kids apart with your readies, or we'll see you on Facebook real soon.
It's going to have to happen, isn't it? I know.
He's just said it's going to have to happen. Now, all we need to do now is pin you down on sooner, not later.
I love being vague because I can just keep kicking that.
Look, the money is. Look how many people are mentioning Facebook underneath on this. This is costing you money, Phil. This is costing you money. Your kids are going to love content.
This is all propaganda, this, because my kids cannot see a single comment that says anything about Facebook on my screen.
No, when I ring up and your kids are in the background and you've got me on loudspeaker. I'm just saying.
Oh, wow. Well, it looks like it's going to have to happen. I know. I've been holding off. As you know, right? See, this is what, look, you've made me have to speak about this publicly, Toni. And you know what you've done here. You know, I try and talk about everything else. There's certain things I just keep quiet about, just mind my own business and get on with my life. And I said, I had one little off-the-cuff conversation with my friend Toni Bugle, and it was a comment that I knew would probably at some point was going to bite me back. And now she's gone and done it. She's gone and doxed me right on my own channel, and it's going to be detrimental to my train of thought for the next few days now. No, yeah, what can I say? Nice one, Toni. As you know, I am a person.
I'm being service to all these good people that want to be able to go and find your videos with ease, right? And would like to see you and I go live now and again to my Facebook where we could get thousands of views. I'm sorry, but that's just how it is. And I can't do that with you. You're not.
You know what, Toni, I totally agree with everything you're saying. I agree with the necessity of what I'm doing being on Facebook.
To do it. So, and somebody just said, I hate Facebook, but think of the kids. Get on Facebook, Phil.
Think of the kids. Now, that is what I would call emotional blackmail. And that is not funny. That is not funny. And you've done it now. Someone else is doing it. And I can just see it now happening. It's just right. Let me just explain one thing. I am when it comes to mobile phones, I'm an old dog on new tricks. I love my mobile phone. I use it for various things. It's obviously an essential tool. But when it comes in regards to social media, to do that all day long and to be going in and out and talking and this, that, and the other, I've never been a lover of it. And look, you're forcing this confession out of me, Toni. Look, you're loving this, aren't you? You are loving it. So that's why, for me, I have been holding off from getting on any social media. It was a big deal to get on YouTube. And that's probably the closest I wanted to be on a comfortability level, being on a social media. And I do like, I tell you, the positive spin about what I'm doing, Toni, is that I have got no digital footprint whatsoever.
This is very true. You don't. But because of the way you behave and because you are such a fair man, it's not like they're going to have any reason to come after you, is it? So it's not like you have anything to leave behind, Phil. So you can't use that bullshit with me. I don't want to point out the obvious here, but you know you're not going to win this argument. You've been battling with me. I had you clutch with two hands. I pulled you to one. I got you down to your fingertips. I got you to one fingertip. Now I'm saying to you.
Now I'm hanging on that cliff with one finger, and Toni Bugle's there with a heel just grinding it into that one last finger.
Mate, I'm standing. All I'm saying is it would be a good place just to find your videos. And when I go live on Facebook, I can bring you in and we can do it there as well as here.
No, I agree. I totally agree. I'm not disagreeing. I'm just... I need pushing off cliffs in terms of doing certain things, and you've just done it beautifully. And I didn't know this was coming. I knew you were going to maybe refer to it and you joked about it, but I've not. I wasn't prepared for this, and you've made it public now. And I feel like I need to put a public announcement. I'm going to do a video tomorrow. I'm going to get my kids on it and just say how much I'm a great dad, and they don't need my money because they already get treated very well, you know.
Yeah, they can, but you and I both know that they're still going to want your money.
Of course, they're still going to want my money. They always want my money.
And when I tell them that the price is going up from £1 to £2 per pound per person, that I should get on Facebook.
See, knowing you now, you'll give me till a specific date in order to meet my obligations. And if I don't meet them obligations, then the fine, because it is a fine. This is a fine. This is all this is. And that fine will be increased.
I'm implementing. I'm implementing my Sharia.
Yeah, I'll say. No, what can I say? It is going to happen. It will happen. In terms of days, I've no idea, but it is.
Next week, I think, is a good time, just before the actual March of the Gays and Sharia, really.
You're not pushy at all, are you, Toni? You know?
Build it up. We can get people on it. You don't have to add anybody. They could just follow the page, and then we can build that up. And then when we go live, you see, everyone know where to find the next. And all the veterans will know where to find you as well, which is also very helpful. And it also means if there is any important meetings we have, we can join you in on that, and we can get you. So we don't have to go there. Because you got to remember, I've become his secretary, just so we know it. He's not the only victim here, right? Anybody needs to get hold of Red Pill. I turned into his secretary. It works both ways.
I know. You know, I tend to do that. A quick story. Before that video went viral, I never had an email address because I didn't email. Yeah, I barely text, you know. So when this video, the original video, went viral, it went through my wife's Facebook. Now, she was getting all alerts from every man and his dog that knew us and was linked to us in any way, all, you know, giving congratulations or whatever, commiserations as it might be, on the comment section on her Facebook feed, which meant that she got all the alerts. Now, I know what she means now, because when I videos, you get alerts for every, notification you get. So she actually got pretty cheesed off with me because she was sick of getting all the alerts. And I was just offsetting it because I was in La world with no kind of way of any details coming back to me. She goes, right, we're going to set your own email up. So that's where my email address comes. So now she's offset. So what I'm really saying is I've kind of done the same thing in terms of the social media. I kind of let other people. You've got such a smug look on your face, Toni Bugle. And you've brought this out of me. I'm sweating now. I'm feeling all uncomfortable. And it's like, what? I invited her onto my channel. I'm being nice, you know. I introduced her as a focal member of the vets. And she goes and does this. But I love you for it, Toni. I'm just looking at your thumbnail, you're like.
What you can't see is I'm sitting here going, you so know you're going to do it.
I've got to do it.
You do it.
I know I've got to do it, and I've got to do it. So,
not now because you just promised.
Well, yeah, but I'm going to need advice because there's certain ways in which I want to do it. I'd have to say it would have to be a page that wouldn't be for interacting and commenting. It would be just a vessel, as it were.
Well, the best way to do this then is we pick an email, your email address, we'll pick a password that you can change at any point. I'll set the account up for you. We'll get it all set up and ready for you. I hand you the password. You can change it if you want. And there you go. Jobs are good. And you don't even have to think about it. All done for you.
Nice one, Toni. Nice one. I like your style. I like your style. I like the way you went about it, and probably the effect that it's had because it's kind of maximum effect. It's so public now. What can I do about it? You brought it right out into the street. Thanks a lot.
I told you I'm a dirty fire.
Oh, I tell you, that was a good one. That's forced me card. That I'm now going to grab my passport and I'm the nearest flight to South America.
And even if you're abroad, you can still be on Facebook.
Well, yeah, exactly.
There.
I'll still hear the bugle.
You know, they say behind every great man is a bugle.
Indeed, there's a bugle. There's a bugle, and I've got a Mancunian bugle, and I've got a down south bugle. So, and what can I say? I live in a house with one beautiful wife, two beautiful daughters, and two female cats. So that for me, it's like the equivalent of living with the Spice Girls, because it's just, you know, what can I do? What can I do? I just like my own space and get on my decks and just stay out of the way. So thank you for being the next member of the Spice Girls, Toni.
That's all right. So long as I can be Baby Spice, I'm happy.
Right. Well, you can be Baby Spice. You can be whatever Spice. It's going to be Spice. It's going to be falling off that building now. You've just
naughty
stood on
Spice.
me.
I'm Naughty Spice. That's what I'm.
Naughty Spice. Right.
Spice.
Yeah. That's Stitch Red Pill Phillip Spice. That's what this is. Yeah. Live on his own live stream on his own channel.
You didn't see that coming, did you?
I didn't see that coming, and it was a very nice trick. Very nice trick. So not only is it going to cost me money now, I'm going to have to set up the Facebook anyway. Well,
so it's done now, isn't it?
I know.
More painful than you thought.
I know. Yeah, no, and it has to be done. And I don't want to labour the point. We're having a bit of a laugh about it. But you know what I'm like? I'm pretty much a private person. So to me, this is hence the metaphor of me hanging.
Someone's just said, what spice are you, Bill? He's Old Spice.
He's Skint Spice. That's what he is.
He will be if you don't get yourself sorted out, that's for sure.
Well, I know I'm going to have to get it sorted because he's clocking up now. It's getting double digits already, no doubt.
And I've done all of this while still ill. I think I'm quite impressive.
Oh, well, I think you find the strength in illness there. You found enough to start, you know, coming out kicking and punching.
Oh, temperature. I'll blame it on the temperature.
So, where can people best find you? And I know Facebook's going to be one of the places, Toni. And
on my Twitter account. And I haven't pushed you for that yet, so careful what you say, son. I'm just saying that you can find me on Twitter. My @name is @DICS131294. Facebook, Toni Bugle or Toni Matrix Bugle, which is my backup account. You can also go onto the website marias.org.uk. And there is a Maria's Facebook group as well, because some of us are not afraid of social media.
Now you're enjoying this too much. Now you've gone through the apprehension, and now you've actually done it physically. Well, you know, you started it where you wasn't outward in the fact that you were going to do it. I didn't know you were going to do it. It's like, whoa! And now look at you. You're all over it now. You're loving it.
I'm laughing because I'm about to keep you inside me, brother. Yeah, the Satan's free.
It's like the stopwatch is on now, because as the weeks and months go by, and I've still not done it.
As the days. Just remember, I have your phone number and I know your children's name.
Oh yes, right, okay. Well,
and your wants.
Right, well, as well as making tea and doing the washing tomorrow, I guess I'm going to have to inquire about setting up a Facebook page, aren't I, Toni? Thank you very much. You know, just in between folding the clothes and getting verbally abused off my kids, you know, in between all that, whilst they want sweets and they want money from me.
Yeah, but I've just saved you money and I'm to give them extra.
Well, that is true, yeah.
You know, a positive from the, you know, always take the negative and turn it into a positive, Bill.
If there's one person that can do it, it's you, Toni. Right? So I need you to turn my negative into a positive now. My negative is, how can I make this money that I'm going to have to give to my kids firstly? You know, that's the big one.
Because you're going to have the Facebook, so it doesn't matter. You won't have to cough up the reddies.
Oh, so there's no arrears? There's no world you won't...
I will let you off arrears if you get it done within the first week. So you've got 1 week.
1 week, right? All right, that's a deadline. Wow, that is a good thing. You're so clever, you, I tell you, because you've moved my position so much. Because you know I was hanging on, and you know every time you brought this up, I was deflecting and deflecting. And you've moved this position so far in the space of 10, 15 minutes. I'm like, you go, girl. Like, that was some maneuver, and I still love you for it. It's not like, you know, all right, I'm never having it, or I go, oh, da, da, da. I don't. I still think you're great. The way you've done it, well, yeah, thank you, Toni.
That's all right. I think you'll find if this was chess, that's chess.
Well, this is a warning to anyone who's watching this now that don't get on the wrong side. You can see what happens when you're on the right side of Toni Bugle. So don't get on the wrong side of him.
Go fund me for Phil. He needs £2,000 to pay his kids.
I'm telling you, yeah, probably more than that. And just
want to stand up to the terrorism, Phil.
I know. Yeah, I get more of it when I come home. Battered with placards as soon as I walk in my front door.
What's he doing up when we get to the next march? And they'll go, Toni Bugle's over there. You go, keep me away, keep me away, keep me away.
And this was all because I said to you, and this is where I made the mistake. I said in passing on one comment, if I had £1 for every time, and it's like one of them cliche comments, and you've took this and you've took the ball and you've ran over the line with it, Toni.
You didn't say that. You said, if I get asked on this march, if I've got Facebook, I'm going to give £1 to my kid for every time I'm asked. That's what you said, Phil. And I went, yes, we're going to have to get the numbers up for your kids then, or join them. So you kind of walked into that one as well yourself. You did. You lined up, mate. I just knocked it out of the ballpark. That's all.
Well, you've done a good job there, and it's worked because I'm now on borrowed time, as they say, aren't I? So,
yeah, you're now on lending time.
I'm going to have to get in touch with you regarding that, no doubt, over the next couple of days on the best ways of moving forward. So
I'll make sure that I'm in touch with you.
Okay, I feel a new SIM card coming on. I feel a change of address coming on.
I know to find you.
Yeah, no, I've probably got a chip inserted that only the Bugle can locate at this moment in time.
Bugle bug.
Bugle bugged, definitely. Oh well, you know what? I've loved this stream, even though you've brought more work to my door. But no, thank you. It's been an absolutely great chat, Toni. I hope it's been useful to everyone else who's been listening. This has been Red Pill Phil talking with the Baroness Toni Bugle, the relentless Toni Bugle that won't let go. Thanks.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much for having me, and thank you for the time that you've given me, and also thank you for putting up with the bullying.
I'm glad you've done that. Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, I'm an accommodating guy, but the accommodation only goes so far, let me say. But I'm just
some of these comments. Right, before I go, last comment before I go, somebody's put, and in the red corner we have Toni Bugle, and in the blue corner we have a quivering wreck. What a win.
Someone who knows when he's beaten, yeah, nice one. Someone who's been dragged out in the street and like just laid bare for everyone to see. So he's had to kind of give in, really, you know.
I could never bully anybody. I don't know what he's on about, honestly. First time I've ever raised the subject of Facebook.
Of course, Toni. I can see the little nightingales just rotating around your head as we speak now. Of course, the halo's there. They're actually putting the halo straight. It's all me. It's all me.
This is my angelic side.
No, but you know what? You're giving me a much needed kick. What can I say? But I've been hanging on for dear life, and you're not having it anymore, and I get it. I get it. So it will happen. Thank you very much, Toni. What can I say to that? So what's the next march that you're going to be attending? Have you got any plans in the future?
I have no idea yet, but as soon as I do, I will let you know. Of course, we'll be able to go live on Facebook about it, Phil.
We will indeed. Yeah. Even though I'm going to be just as much a novice on Facebook as I am going to be on YouTube.
I'm going to host it and I'm going to bring you on it.
Right. And then I'm going to get you back. And I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it. And I'm going to do it live. I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait till the numbers really click up, and then I'm going to do it. And I don't even know what I'm going to do here. But just for this has been great because it's good entertainment value for people watching somebody squirm, knowing that they're backed into a corner, and try to be polite and diplomatic about it, but at the same time knowing when you beat. So this has been a lesson on how you're supposed to look when all them things are happening at the same time again.
This is a lesson on how to get bugled with dignity.
I got bugled all right, without a doubt. No, but it's been absolutely fantastic having this chat. I hope all the talking points have been worthwhile for people, and we're hoping it's going to be a regular occurrence, aren't we, Tony? We've not made any final plans on a regular date as such, but we're hoping it's going to be the first of many.
Yeah, we are. We want to do this at least once a month, minimum.
Sounds good, because there'll be lots of different facts we can update if there's anything up and coming, new events, old events, you know, any information. And if there's people got any questions, you know, regarding anything, aside from my social media woes, other than that. But yeah, it's been absolutely fantastic. So last word goes to you, Tony. That's how nice I am.
Last word to me is it's good night from me, and it's good night from him. That's as much as I can say.
The beta one. Yeah. Yeah, the beta one. The Facebook virgin. Yeah, all right, nice one.
Make the most of it. We'll never be a virgin again.
Well, I'll say, yeah. I don't want to be... No, I'm not going to go there because it's in bad taste, that joke. So I know political correctness will only go so far. So at that point, I'm going to close the gate on that subject. But no, Tony, it's been fantastic.
As always.
I hope you like and subscribe. Thank you, Tony. I hope everyone likes and subscribes, share all the content on this channel, as well as folk.
Well, they can go over onto my YouTube and so we can interlink the two together as well.
Without a doubt, Tony's very active on there. She's got her own YouTube page, as well as she's got M.A.R.I.A.S, her own website as well. So I encourage you to get in touch and get all the relevant information regarding Toni and what she's doing. As she says, she's on Twitter and on every social media. And you'll probably just be able to hear her, even if you're in New Zealand. Just open your window, you will hear the bugle. You don't need social media, so I guarantee that, in the most nicest, politest possible way. But thank you again to everyone for taking part in listening to this. Thanks again, Toni, for being a part of it. And what can I say? Hope to see you very soon. Be in touch this week regarding certain matters. And if you speak to the vets or any of the guys involved in the march that we've just had, give them a big thumbs up from me. Tell them, nice one, well done, and thanks a lot for a positive march.
I will do. And I will speak to you again soon. Take care, stay safe, and be good.
Thank you very much, Toni. Okay, guys, God bless, and I love you all, even the pissing haters. Okay, guys, see you soon. Take care now. Ta-ra.
Bye.